Hi everyone, welcome back for another episode of Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around we're going to be talking about the 2005 made-for-TV special, Terry, starring Shawn Ashmore. As you probably guessed, this movie is about the real-life person Terry Fox, who in 1980 decided to run across Canada for cancer research. So this movie is just a little bit more insight into a little bit about Terry Fox before the journey, as well as, during the journey, some of the stops he made, some of the experiences he had, the personal experiences that he had, and of course, the unfortunate end to the journey that didn't come full circle. First of all, the marathon, it's called the Marathon of Hope, began on April 12th, 1980, when Fox dipped his right leg into the Atlantic Ocean near St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. And then it unfortunately ended, I believe it's July. I'm just trying to see here exactly when it ended. I think it was in August or September of 1980. Is when it ended in North Bay. He was, the cancer that had been in remission had come back and it had spread to his lungs, and he was unable to complete the run. Unfortunately, he had to go back for chemotherapy treatment. Now, he had every intention of coming back and finishing the run, but unfortunately, he died on June 28, 1981, before he could ever restart the run. I think, he was only in his early 20s. He wasn't that old. So it was very, very unfortunate. The movie itself, it's more near dear to Canadians just because it's a Canadian story. Fox was born and raised in Canada. The marathon took place in Canada. But people around the world know Terry Fox. Terry Fox runs throughout the world because of this man. Just some interesting tidbits about the movie. The van that you see they use in the movie, it's an exact replica or model, if you will, of the van that they used during the Marathon of Hope. The movie itself, the reason I'm suggesting this movie is just because we just had passed, the most Terry Fox runs nowadays take place in September. So I had rewatched the movie because of that. And I thought I would suggest it for those that may not have actually seen it. And if you want to see this movie and check it out and kind of learn a little bit about the Marathon of Hope and what Terry Fox did, I definitely recommend watching it. You learn some interesting things you may not know about the marathon. Obviously, with him only having one leg, the leg being amputated because of cancer, I mean, that in itself was challenging. I mean, for anybody to run across Canada is challenging. Now, think about a guy with only one leg. That a lot of people know. What a lot of people don't know in this movie shows is some of the challenges that he went through. First of all, to start off with, you got to remember in 1980, we didn't have the internet. Getting the word out about the marathon was not as easy as it is nowadays. He relied mostly on local radio stations, newspapers, and even then, people may not have shown the interest that they needed to, especially at the start of his marathon. And then, of course, his biggest hardships when you watch the movie that you find he encounters, it was actually in Quebec. He didn't get hardly any support from anybody in Quebec, both for fundraising purposes, and there were even times when the police told him he had to get off the main highway. They didn't care what he was doing. They're like, "You can't run on the highway, man. Get lost." They had no care or intention as to what he was doing. And then by the time he finally got to Ontario, things really took off. The notoriety about what he was doing took off. So many people knew what he was doing by then. And the Marathon of Hope really took off. Eventually he wanted to raise, it started out as his goal, he wanted to raise $1 million. Then eventually it was $10 million. And by the end of the marathon, or the end of the goal of the marathon, he wanted to raise $1 for every Canadian, or at least get $1 from every Canadian. And I think by the end, I think he did that. I think he raised like $24 million. So it was very impressive. And his legacy, like I said, continues to live on today through every Terry Fox run that goes on throughout the world. So there you are, folks. In terms of other well-known actors in this, I don't really think there's anybody that you recognize. All the secondary actors do an admirable job, you know, playing the guy who plays his best friend, Doug Allward. I'm not sure what his name is. The guy who plays his brother, Daryl, you know, and his various family members. It's all very well done. So, you know, for a made-for-TV special, I highly recommend this movie. You will learn a lot about Terry Fox and the Marathon of Hope. All right, folks, there you are. Take care of yourselves. Have yourselves a good week, and we'll see you next week for another episode.